Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. So good to see you.
Good to see
Oh
you. Look what
my,
came very late last night via Amazon. It came.
I'm so happy you have a copy because I give out all my copies so I can even show the book. Mm,
Well,
Thank you so much for
I'll be your
ordering
model
it.
today.
Oh, okay. Today is actually a perfect day to read because it's been raining all day and
Oh, you're so
but I'm
lucky.
so happy to talk to you because you have all this energy and vibe, and I just feel like I want to be your best friend. Like I need you
Oh,
around all the time.
oh, right back at you, love. Well, I'm definitely envious of your whole rain situation because yesterday was almost 100 degrees here in Southern California. Not cool, man, at all.
Well, I'm sure winter is coming there too, right?
Maybe by January, we'll see.
Everybody I know wants to move to California just because of the weather.
Don't
But-
do it. I
or the
strongly
food,
advise.
or the food. I don't know which one.
I'm a Boston native and I miss the food back in Boston. I miss the weather, I miss the people, I miss the history and the culture and everything. But I mean, California, we are completely spoiled here because there's so much to do in such a short, like, expansion of space. Like we have access to a lot, but the traffic, no go, no go.
I'm in New York.
I
As my
know.
husband, he can complain about the traffic all day long.
No, I understand. I know I lived in Manhattan for about 5 years and then Boston. I grew up there. We moved to California when I was about 14. So I'm half and half now.
And you are an artist, an advocate. You're
Yes,
doing an
ma'am.
amazing job, yes, and
Thank
you're
you.
super busy traveling.
I'm all over the place. I'm like, you know what? I finally figured out about a year ago that being an artist is not just exclusive to one facet, that you just create. It's like one week I could be painting and the next week I'm making hats, and then music and spoken word and writing and everything. It's like just follow your heart, just keep doing what you love to do, and that's going to continue to evolve. But it throws people off because they're like, wait a minute, she's doing this now, I'm confused. There's a podcast and there's an art charity, what are you doing?
Whoever
you know
loves you, they're gonna follow whatever you do. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. Well, I am so proud of you because you and I share the same diagnosis year of 2019. So I was able to read through your story, and it's very funny, Ag, because you and I come from a mutual place of trauma, horrible relationship, abusive relationship, and then health diagnosis, and then losses. I read through it quickly this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know all these little things about you, which was
Yes,
really
and
cool.
when you are in it, you feel terrible, and you're going through all these feelings. But when you look back, if you are the person like I am, you going forward, you are positive, optimistic. It comes back up when you're writing it down, and
Oh
it's so
yeah.
therapeutical just to put it in paper. And I'm so happy that I was able to publish this book and get another 36 people on board and share the story, but most importantly just spread awareness about MS. And everybody, it's only been out for 4 weeks, I think now, not
Yeah.
even 3 weeks. And the messages that I'm receiving from people, like, it's just so amazing. Like creating the book the whole process was truly transformational for me. But now that I'm seeing the results and I'm seeing how many people are inspired and learning and
Right.
changing their life because of the book, it's just, I'm like blown
I'll
away.
tell you what, I mean, I'm still digging my feet in as far as a more sustainable game plan goes for the diagnostic process, because I, I am not hearing this regular standardized protocol of saying, hey, you're diagnosed with MS. Yes, let's do the scans, let's do the MRIs, let's do the blood work, let's figure out a treatment plan. But what about the emotional side? I mean, I know a few mine included my neurologist. My neurologist now, he's amazing. But my first one, it was like nothing. It was like, hey, good luck. Go figure it out.
At least yours said good luck. Mine didn't even say good luck. Mine only said like prepare your house for
Oh
wheelchair.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. I know. Seriously, I was told the same thing. So that's why I was diagnosed in September of 2019, and then September of 2020, my first neurologist, who I happily broke up with, because I think the relationship that you have with your medical team is
it's so
totally a
important.
marriage. Oh, it's such a marriage. I'm like, I am divorcing you because you are not in my wheelhouse. But he was the same way. You know, it was like, well, make sure your house is wheelchair accessible. So we ended up moving, and we moved to a
Because of
hotter
that?
area.
Because of
Well,
that?
well, we were living in a 2-story condo, and I was habitually falling down the stairs. So I'm like, well, maybe that's a better idea, going for a single story. But now in retrospect, we're like, okay, we made such a bad decision too fast, because it's so much hotter here than in Orange County, California. It's like a 20-25 degree difference, which in the summer when it's 100, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But going back to this, I see this is a huge point of value for anybody having been newly diagnosed that doesn't have the education, doesn't have the awareness, doesn't have the support system at home of other people with chronic conditions, so they can be relatable and
Yeah.
have that, empathy and that understanding. Whatever you need to do to talk with medical groups to get this in the hands of people that are newly diagnosed, like, you need to do it.
Yes, we are trying to put it in functional medicine practitioners' offices. And yes, hopefully
Yeah, this
we
is a
already
meeting.
have.
This is a meeting for somebody that doesn't want to go to a
Yeah,
meeting and doesn't want to go to. Me personally, I am not a support groupie. I've tried. It's just not for me.
I am
This is a
the
this is a total support group right here. It's in the comfort of your own home.
And it's
You don't
not
need
only
to.
that, but everybody is so positive and optimistic. You know, that's what you have to surround yourself with. Those are the people that you need, your allies,
Right.
your friends. And I know in the beginning, I didn't want to share it with my friends, with my family. It took me like 3 years to share it with my mom, because I don't want her to worry about it, And it's just reading these stories, it made me like, I was crying for 6 months, just every single time I received one. But it's you find such a similar thinking process how to cope with this disease,
Right.
and it just makes you feel so like more comfortable,
Yeah.
moving forward.
And not alone. And not alone. And that's the first thing that people newly diagnosed feel. They're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I feel alone. Nobody understands. Guess what? There's 37 people in here that understand.
And
So
yes,
how long did it take you? Like, when did you start this? Or when did you, like, I'm curious about like your story. When did you say to yourself, I'm going to write a book?
well, I think I was 12, but then I realized that I'm like, it's not going to happen. After the second chapter, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, this is not going
But
to be
I
a book.
love
But
that though, because like in retrospect, I guess you never figured out that you would be writing a book about this.
of course not. So that thing was like 12 years old. I never thought I'm going to write a book, but I just woke up one day after meditating. I realized like why there is not a book out about this. When I was diagnosed, I had to read million books, put together the picture, reach out to others. I wanted to surround myself, like I said, with people who are thriving with MS, and it was so hard. Instagram helped me a lot. And then I'm like, okay, maybe if we can put a book together with all these stories, sharing stories, then I can write a chapter. I cannot write a whole entire book, but it's manageable to put 10 pages down, and
I'll
I have
tell
so
you
many
what,
things to
that's
share.
like that's a whole new level. I've been in the works for a few years now writing mine, and it's a lot. It's a lot. On top of living with MS and everything else we do for advocacy and work, and like, I'm a district activist leader with the MS Society here for our chapter in Southern California, and between that and art and music and speaking, it's like running a business. It's a lot.
Yes,
It's a
it
lot,
is.
it's a lot, it's a lot.
But it was so easy, meaning like everybody I reached out to, they wanted to share their stories.
Oh,
And
totally.
yes, it was a lot of work, but it wasn't work, you know
Oh,
what I mean? It was a
it's never
project that
work.
it meant to happen. And now the book is out. I'm just watching and I can't wait to see where it's gonna land, you know, who
Yeah.
is gonna read it and who is gonna respond.
Well,
It's so,
when I was kind of flipping through it, I was like, oh my gosh, this would make a great docu-series for sure. Like a documentary series. That would be really awesome too.
yes. If you wanna produce it, let me know.
Sky's the limit, babe.
It
But
is.
I'm really, really proud of you. I think this is something that I'm sure every single person involved in this also felt a little bit of like a weight off of
Yes.
their shoulders also.
I,
Like
I, I
I
keep
know,
telling everyone it's not my book, it's
right,
our book. You know,
right,
everybody who's in it, they contributed just as much as I did. And yes, I published it and I made it happen. But everybody who shared their story,
right.
they can call themselves an author too. You know, they
Yeah,
wrote this book,
yeah,
and they
totally.
should be all proud. And everybody who lives with MS and just everybody should be proud of like getting up every day and just putting MS behind you not thinking about it and keep moving forward.
Yeah. Totally. But I'm sure like a lot of them feel like I know Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie's a good friend of mine. She lives about 45 minutes away from me. I think her and I are supposed to get lunch next week. And I know she's really, really comfortable sharing her story. But I don't know many of these people in this book and on this cover where I go, okay, well, maybe this is their first time sharing it. That's a huge
Some
thing. That's
of
like,
them, yes, and some
yeah,
of them. So I wanted to create a book that in 10 years you look back to these people and you are like, I want to see how they're doing. And they're going to be doing great because that's their mentality, you know?
right.
And it's so important to get in that mindset. That's my biggest advice for somebody newly diagnosed. Like, change your mindset, think positive, everything is going to be fine. But if you keep worrying about the future, things not going to work out, you know,
Yeah.
the way you want it. So everybody in the book, every chapter in the book starts with the introduction and the name and the Instagram account and whoever wanted to share that. So you can look up these people, you can contact them, you can ask them questions. Some people, yes, they only share their story the first time, so they want to be anonymous. But even them, it's just they're all over the world. Like, some
Right.
people are from New Zealand, some people Austria, some people from London. So I mean,
Right.
Britain. So it's just so incredible to see people all around the world coming together and being there for everybody else who are struggling.
Right. I think that's going to give those that have a voice but haven't executed it yet and utilized it yet to kind of have that like little nudge, like, hey, babe, you can do this. Go.
Yeah, yes.
You
And
know,
you are
just
doing
start
an
small.
amazing job also on Instagram and promoting that.
Thank you. You know, I, it's so funny. Like when I started this, the term influencer was like getting thrown around more. And I still to this day, I'll admit it, I hate the term influencer. I'm like,
Me too.
I'm never gonna show you like where to shop for food and like what my skincare routine is. And like if you know, there's some days that I'll be totally honest where I forget to brush my teeth in the morning and I just go. Like I'm like not that person. I'm a hot mess. Total hot mess. Um, but I like to view what I do
So
more
hold on,
as
your Instagram handle is not hot MS, it's hot mess. I'm
well,
just
no,
kidding.
it's a yeah, exactly. It's a play on words. It's a hot MS, but it was a hot mess. Um, but no, like I try to approach more of what I do as being an advocate for perception because I think it is just what you said. It's a mindset. It's a choice. And we have a choice to be happy or miserable. And it takes, as we know, a billion times more energy to be negative and miserable. Not to say that we're not going to have, you know, our MS can go stick it days. Of course, absolutely. Like, this isn't to be misconstrued as shoving positivity down someone's throat and saying, don't get real, because you have to get real. You just can't stay there.
Yes.
You can't stay in the negative and stay in the bad, because it's really, I mean, you know, I read your story. I was like, oh, she gets how hard it is to get out once you go to that place, you know?
Yeah.
It's not easy at all. But I think that we all have so much more value than we recognize and that we even self acknowledge, because you look at a diagnosis of MS and you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't feel this. I used to be able, it's all of this like looking over your shoulder and comparing yourself to the you pre-diagnosis, which I think is like totally harmful, because I don't want to be the same person I was when I was 24. She was a freaking mess. Like, she was horrible. And I was in my first marriage, which was catastrophically damaging, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, everything. You know, so it's like you have to look at this like an opportunity. Is it an easy one? No way. It's so not an easy opportunity, but it's still an opportunity that it presents you with the choice and the mind frame opportunity of being able to say, yes, this is hard, but this is new. So with new things, what do? We learn and we adapt. You can't stay in the past. You can't cling to something that you once knew, because you're never going to grow. You're just going to stay right there.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. Yes. And finding tools and learning about how to actually get out from that state and just keep moving forward, that's hard, but you can learn them, and it's possible, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like fishing, you know what I mean? It's like you have to just throw throw 10 lines out, different lures, different everything, and then see what bites. Like, what works for us may not work for somebody that's listening right now. So you have to get creative. You have to get scrappy and try everything. Like, try the support group, try reading the book, try just going to coffee with somebody, try getting on a Zoom call and having a cup of tea or something, and just like share one little thing. If you've never shared about your reality, and that it's like, I know why people hesitate with this, because I think society is changing this aspect of how disability is perceived, but we still have, like, hey Megan, we still have a lot of work to do in this space, because there's still so much shame and guilt housed in the space of disability. So that is stemmed from what? Fear of what other people think. And we rely so heavily on, you know, the approval of others, whether it be friends or family or coworkers or whatever. I mean, I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was working in an office and I was using my cane because I kept falling in the hallway of the office. And literally I was like getting with the security team in the building to send me the clips because I thought they were hysterical. I'm like, oh my gosh, I ate it again. Friday at 2:15, can you send me the clip? But I had my walking cane in the office, and one of my coworkers grabbed it and was walking around and impersonating an old lady, and I lost it, rightfully so, in the office. And I'm like, it's not a prop. Give it to me now, or it's going to be permanently injected in a portion of your body that I'm pretty sure is not going to be comfortable. So take your pick. What do you want? Come on. But that stems back to the fear of what others are going to perceive it as. How are they going to respond? I think it's safe to say that everyone's always going to have an opinion. You know, people have opinions of how I look. Oh, why would you do that to your body? And she's heavily tattooed and you marred your face. It's like, you know what? I know exactly what I look like and I love it. And I did it for a reason. You know, it's like nobody was judging Picasso for being a little kooky because he was an incredible painter. But the guilt and the shame and the hesitation that people have of being transparent about their story, it's all derivative of the fear and the judgment of what other people are going to say, think, or feel. And if you are like, I'm saying this to whoever's listening, whoever needs to hear this, if you are making choices in your life based on pleasing other people,
You're not gonna change, and nothing's gonna change. Yes.
Stop it! Stop it now! No, seriously, because you have to make the choices that are best suited for you. And trust me, I think a lot of us in the space of MS have had to go through this kind of space of like cleaning house, whether it be with
For sure.
family or friends, or like setting those boundaries and saying, you know what, this isn't going to float in my ship here anymore. So we got to,
Yeah, but it's
toss it.
so hard to make those decisions because it comes back to you and you're blaming
Yeah.
yourself, and it can just go spiraling down, instead of up. So it's yeah, it comes down to mindset again. I keep repeating this word, but I feel like once I put that in my mind also, if you saw me like 2 years ago, I wouldn't get on the camera. I wouldn't be comfortable talking in front of people. Um, but you have to get out from that state, whether it's an MS diagnosis and sharing that with the world. It's just gonna make you feel better. It
Right.
make you feel more comfortable. Getting it out, writing it down, sharing it with your friends, family, whoever understands it. You keep those people. Whoever doesn't, it's their they're gonna lose you. So it's not your problem, it's
Exactly.
their problem.
Yeah, support system is a huge, huge thing. Um, I'm very grateful and blessed in this area as far as a support system, because my mother, who's also my music partner and co-writer, she also shares autoimmune conditions galore: IBS, fibromyalgia, asthma, osteoporosis, arthritis. Like, she's just ridden also right there with me. So right away, just having seen her, struggle with these conditions since I was a kid, there was already this automatic, mutual playing ground of empathy and understanding, because she got it,
Yeah.
and my dad got it. Um, and yeah, it's really cool to have that kind of support system. Like, my parents are like my rock. They're amazing. They're so supportive. They're very, very transparent. They're very honest people. And yeah, I know that that's not the reality for a lot of people. So you really have to design your support group. Now, family and blood, I mean, that's great. That's like excellent in a Lifetime movie, and it sounds great on a Hallmark card, but it means absolutely nothing. It really does. Like, you make your family. You know what I mean? Like, my birth father had zero capability of being a dad, like zero. Um, Narcissistic, very abusive, very damaging emotionally, just not, that kind of person that anybody should have in their life. And it's like, that's what I talk to people, are like, well, but you're still family. And I'm like, you know what? That's even more of a reason not to be treated like crap by somebody, because family is definitely not supposed to do that. A stranger in Home Goods that's in the line and irritated at something, yeah, sure, fine. I don't know you from Adam, so go ahead, whatever. But it's like, family is not supposed to be judgmental. They're not supposed to be, you're not supposed to hang up the phone with a family member and go, oh, okay, well, now I feel like crap. And well, where did that come from? You know what I mean? So you really have to design the support system that you deserve.
Yes, yes. I'm reading some of the comments here. The circle, I call it. Yes, it's definitely a circle, and people come and goes from the circle, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Acceptance, that's my other favorite word, I think, mindset and acceptance. But
Oh,
somebody was
acceptance
asking,
is a whole different animal. Totally.
somebody was asking about our tools. Well, I shared a lot of my tools in the book, and the other reason I created this book was because so when I sent out the questionnaire for everybody who participated, sharing their story, the first session was about the diagnosis and how they coped and who they shared diagnosis with and what are they doing, treatments and everything. And the second part, I wanted them to focus on writing down what they're doing every day to live a healthy, happy life, including if somebody does meditation, what kind of books they read, what kind of food they eat, what kind of diet they follow. So it's interesting how not everybody is the same. Everybody is doing something different, you know, but it's working from them, and it comes down to what works for you. So we can share our tools and tips all day long, because my list is super long, but you have to kind of, like you said before, try it. If it works for you, if it doesn't, try something else. And I am 100% sure that there are so many things that you can try to make you feel better every single day. Right?
Absolutely.
Share some of your tools. I want to hear them.
Oh my gosh, my tools. I'm like the poster child for getting really gung-ho about something and then not maintaining it. That's my biggest struggle. I have to like, continue to check myself, because up until like a year ago, I was like, eating like a 12-year-old boy. Like dino nugs, everyone. No, but I think it's a lot of balance. Like I try to balance now. I'm being a lot more strict with like my diet and like workout regimen. I'm not the kind of person that I struggle with self-discipline big time. So I'm not the kind of person that's going to work out at home. I need to pay the $10 to go to Planet Fitness, to go to the gym, because if you're there and you're surrounded by other people that are working out and you're just sitting there, you're kind of going to look like an idiot. Like, why are you even here? You know what I mean? It's like, it's being held accountable just by being in the presence of other people that have it together in like a workout sense.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like silly, like, okay, 34-year-old functioning adult, like own your stuff and do it yourself. But that's just what works for me. I try to approach everything as fluid as possible. I know that MS presents daily obstacles and daily differentiations of where I think my day is going to go. I used to be very rigid and maintaining a certain expectation for myself. And now I like to think that I'm a lot more flexible with, hey, if this doesn't happen, I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to, get super stressed out about it. Or if I can't
That's
maintain
such a
this,
better attitude.
really, you know what? It took me 4 years to get to this point of like really not caring. Like when I first started a hot mess, and I've always been a hot mess. But I was more so like, if I'm putting it out there, I have to own it. You know what I mean? But now, like, I've really fallen into this place where I've lowered a lot of my expectations for myself. Um, so if I'm, encountering a day where at 2 o'clock I'm completely done, then at 2 o'clock I'm completely done and I'm on the sofa. And I'll take the laptop and I'll sit on the sofa with my lap desk and everything and get stuff done. And I am so good at canceling things now and postponing them. Hey, it's just one of those days. I'm transparent.
And I love blaming it on MS. You know, that's my biggest thing.
Right?
Sorry, I have not like I have MS, but
No,
sorry.
I know, but I'll tell you what, like, side note, for canceling like medical appointments last minute, sorry, can't drive, MS. I'm not gonna get hit with that late fee. you know, um, no, I'm just kidding. Like don't do stuff like that, because that's not cool and ethical for like other patients and scheduling and everything.
No,
But
but what
but
I
it
meant
has,
is like brain fog, which is
right, no, it has been a legitimate like reason as to why I've canceled things. Plus I do live about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on traffic, away from all of my doctors, because we decided to move to the single story home way out here in Corona, California, where it's hotter than Satan's backyard. So much fun. But no, gosh, tools. Stop giving a hoot what other people think. I think that's the biggest thing that I try to live by on a daily basis, of just saying, you know what? I have to do things differently. I have to do things slower. I have to be a lot more methodic, and strategize like how I'm going to approach things and how I'm going to, go about my day. And it changes. It changes every day. And that's really hard for like maintaining certain things of my life that I have an expectation for, like vocal ability. There are some days where I'm going to be able to knock out, 5 power ballads like that and no problem. Like I've been trained since I was 6. I've been singing since I was 4, like legitimately with Disney, Nickelodeon, everything else. So it's like, I know what it takes for my body to need that vocal stamina. And then there are some days where I'll go into the studio and I feel like I'm driving somebody else's car. I'm like, what is happening? Um, but it is helpful having like a substantial amount of training and education as far as like vocal health goes, like behind me, so I can navigate it a little bit easier. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely the I think one of the more frustrating parts of my reality. Um, I just saw somebody commented, how do I still show up for my kids when I feel so bad? That's a guilt thing. That is a you guilt thing. So we were completely, my husband and I, we were totally transparent with my 2 stepkids. They were 7 and 8 at the time of my diagnosis. And we, made the explanation in, terms and wording that would be appropriate and easily understood for kids. But I didn't want them to ever feel fear. So when they would see me fall, instead of them going, oh my gosh, Mom, are you okay? I told them, I'm like, just laugh. Just be like, hey, Mom, watch out for that. Like I'm like a habitual walking into, I swear, walls in my house move all the time. So I'll walk into things and I'll walk into walls and walk into like the door frames. Like I'll miss the opening. Be like too far to the right.
I love
Bloody nose.
that. I love that you can laugh about this, because some people they feel like it's devastating, and it is devastating. But
it's this like, just get over it. We all do. Okay, it's just like the thing. We all fart. Every single one of us flatulates.
or
Seriously, like flatulation station right here. You know what I mean? So it's like when you start talking about like the natural things that we all do, it takes the pressure off of them. It takes that like whole like unnecessary embarrassment moment. Like, what's the point? Why are you gonna get embarrassed? We all do it. We all poop. We all fart. Like, what is it? Like, there's such this polished expectation that is like so just unnecessary. So that's why I approach it like with the kids when I was first diagnosed, of saying, if I walk into something, yeah, of course, make sure that I'm like breathing and, everything is okay. But just say, hey, Mom, did the wall move again? Ha ha ha. And then get me a Band-Aid or an ice pack or call your father, you know? But with the
yeah, you
kiddos,
mentioned it's definitely a guilt, and once that settles, then I don't feel like I have to show up for my kids. I feel like I have to be there for my kids, and it's hard when you are trying to put yourself first, because that's my motto. I have to put myself first in order to take care of them. I have to take care of myself first. And you have to be a little bit of selfish. The kid's gonna be fine. They love you no matter what. They're gonna be there, and they just wanna sometimes have somebody around. Not somebody chasing them, just maybe sitting next to them.
But I do know, people in the space of MS that have kids that don't put themselves first at all. They completely, put the kids first and the family first, and to the point where they're not even doing self-care. And it's like, that's a whole different, ball game of damaging for yourself, because you need that time. You need that time for yourself. You need that space for yourself. I know me. And when I don't get it, everybody in the house is like,
When you don't get it, you cannot give. That's my
no, oh my gosh. I just go into this like shell of, I need to refuel. And I love being with my husband. I love being with my, the stepkids and everything. But I love being with myself. Like, I am my best date, because I can go at my pace, my expectation. Not to say that, like I have a lack of support from my husband. Oh my gosh, Johnny's amazing. It's been a rough week. He finally, it's been 3.5 years. Both of us have dodged COVID. I still haven't gotten it. He has it. So he's been isolated in the other half of our house for the last week. And I'm like, bringing things to the door and dropping them off and like, you know, um, masking and hand sanitizing. So it's a lot. Um, but again, he still knows, yes, he's sick. Yes, he has COVID. Yes, he can't come out of the room. Yes, he's isolating because my immune system just sucks. And there's still a level of understanding that he's even giving me of saying, okay, are you taking your vitamins? Are you doing this? Have you eaten breakfast yet? Like he's still like FaceTiming me and checking on me in the house because he knows that now I have zero help. I'm doing, the dishwasher and the laundry and the dog stuff and the cleaning and the work and taking care of him and taking out the trash. Like that's like, not that it's, like only husbands should take out the trash, but they're heavy. So I'm like, okay, you can do that. um, but he still has like a cool level of understanding that I'm still doing all of this and I'm fighting my own battle at the same time, which is really cool.
Yes, it's amazing what we are capable of doing, and I know when you get the diagnosis first, you are like, my life is over, but then of course you have to give yourself a little bit of time to settle down, and then you realize that you are more powerful than you ever thought.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yes, you can take care of a whole village if you want to,
Right.
if you have to.
And like, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Like, this is the hot MS motto. Celebrate your mess.
Yes,
Celebrate your
tell me
mess.
about this birthday, Emma's
We don't
birthday.
we don't do this. We love to celebrate all of the good things and the celebratory, exciting, positive, good news and all this stuff. But when it comes to looking at our shortcomings or looking at our failures and looking at, the real dark stuff and the obstacles in our life, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to brag about it at all. It's ridiculous. Why? Because the second you start bragging about the fact that I didn't brush my teeth today and I woke up 30 minutes before I hopped on this live with you and put a little bit of makeup on to make myself seem like a person, and I haven't showered yet, and my husband's been sick for a week and he hasn't been able to work in 3 weeks. He's been out of work, and it's like all these things. It takes the pressure off. And it also allows, I think, for a position for somebody else that's in a moment of complete catastrophe where they feel like their life is falling apart to go, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be this daunting space of like shame and, oh my gosh, people can't know that. It's like, why the heck not? You know what? I happily peed myself on Wednesday in a grocery store, and that's a part of living with MS. So I'm going to celebrate it and laugh about it. Humor has always been a defense mechanism for me. Like when the laughter stops, then you can call me and be like, Britt, you doing okay, girl? But you know what I mean? It's like, I know that going through trauma early on in life and going through really, really shockingly catastrophic pain that people to this day don't even know about, that will one day be in a book, hopefully next year. When you go through these things, your body reminds you of how bad it was. And I definitely think that there is a correlation between trauma, mental trauma, mental stress, and chronic illness. I think the two totally go hand in hand.
Yes, I completely agree. I don't know if anybody read Gabor Mate's book. He has a whole chapter dedicated about MS and how he thinks. He's one of the biggest psychologists. How he thinks that stress and trauma related to MS.
Right there with you. Absolutely.
But again,
Absolutely.
the good news is that if you control stress, if you get rid of trauma somehow, or find ways to leave it behind, then there's a clear path to healing. That's
Yeah,
my belief.
I am right there with you. But it's like coming from the background that I've come from, and I don't know, I think I could substantiate it a little bit better if I was like in my 50s or my 60s, of saying, okay, well, that's a lot, but that's a big spans of time. I've been through a lot in a very, very short time for somebody my age, where I know now that I don't ever want to go there again. Now, they weren't things that were, instilled from choices that I made. It was just sort of like unfortunate. Well, I guess some of it was hanging around the wrong people and everything, like growing up and being a little bit younger. Um, but just being unfortunately on the receiving end of things that I couldn't have controlled. I know that I'm really, really good at depression, like so good. Like if I allow myself to go to that place, it is really, really, really hard to get, to get out of that.
Yeah.
Trauma, yeah, I totally agree, Adrian. Getting stressed down, totally possible. Trauma, totally different ballgame. Um, I do like therapy. I think therapy is awesome. Finding the right therapist, though, totally different animal. You have to, like, I've gone through like 5 therapists until I found someone
Same
that
with
was
the
like, oh, okay.
doctors. Same with the doctors. You have to surround yourself with the right people.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely, for sure. But I think coming from a background where it was like one thing after another, I know that if I let myself go there, I'm done. I am done. So yeah, I'm going to laugh when I pee myself, and I'm going to write a blog about it. And, I'm going to put all of the messy parts of living with MS out in the world, because again, there is so much unnecessary shame that people put on themselves, saying, well, I can't talk about that, or I can't, somebody's going to, that's going to embarrass me, or they're going to judge me. It's like, they're already judging you anyways. They are judging you for the shoes that you should have replaced 10 years ago.
I think once you start reading my book, you're gonna find chapters that you want me to get back on Instagram Live and
Oh,
talk
I'm
about
sure.
this, because I feel like people were so honest in their stories, and that's why so many others can associate with them.
Yeah.
And like you said, yes, putting it out there, it's so much better than keeping it
Yeah.
inside, because that's sooner or later gonna kill you.
No, celebrate the mess. Good, bad, and the ugly all the time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming
Oh
on.
gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I kept thinking, I'm like, gosh, I really hope it gets here in time for the live. And then it came late last night. So I was super excited. I cannot wait to dive into each chapter. I want to shout out to every single person that was involved in this book with you. I think that's a huge, huge step in the right direction as far as breaking that stigma, changing the narrative of what disability looks like, and really, embracing our reality. It's
Yes,
not
and
terrible.
if
It
there
ain't
is
going
ever
away
a
yet.
second
So,
one, I want you to be
oh,
in it.
I would love to. That would be so cool. I seriously though, this would make an awesome docu-series. So food for thought.
I'll keep that in mind. First, we have to do the audio version, and we have to translate it in so many languages. But yes, that's actually something that I would love to do.
Definitely. Oh yeah, audible version would be fantastic. I'm totally a listener more than a reader. I
Me
tend to
too.
fall asleep when I read. I don't know
That's
why. It just makes me really relaxed when I
amazing.
read.
That's great.
It's
Don't
great, but
go
it's
to your bed,
unfortunate
Maria.
when you're really into a book and you're like, well, now I'm tired. So
No,
but
but
thank you so much for having me on. I'm so proud of you. What you've accomplished just in 4 years' time. I mean, it's amazing. So keep doing what you do.
thank you. You too. Thank you, and
Thank you, love.
happy Saturday, Friday. Oh my God, happy
I don't
Friday,
even
everyone.
know. It's all a blur now. We haven't left the house much, so.
All
But if
right,
anybody wants to chat, hit me up, a hot MS, or you can email me at connect@ahotms.com.
sounds good. Thank you. Have a good
All right,
day.
and you too. Mwah. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.